Hi, everyone. I'm Dylan McGee, founder and executive producer of Makers, and welcome to Makers at Home Live. Today's guest is the one and only Bozoma St. John. And I am honestly really touched that she's here today. She is a friend and has so many demands on her time right now, and it means a lot that she has carved out the time to talk to our Makers audience. So I don't want to miss a second of spending time with her. So I'm going to go straight to you, Bose. I'm coming.
Hey,
Hey!
hi.
Hey! Oh, hi, you. It's great to see you.
Thank you, Dylan. It's so good to see you.
Well,
It
can
is.
can I just start with first just checking in on my girlfriend?
Oh,
I mean, there's just like Bose, there's a pandemic.
hmm.
You're already working the double shift then, right? Being
Yep,
a CMO of Endeavor and a mom, a single mom.
yep.
Then
That's
there's a
right.
pandemic within a pandemic, right?
There's
And
a
like
pandemic.
watching Black men and women getting murdered and the emotion of all of that, watching this world
Yeah,
change. And then on top of that, I know it was Father's Day recently.
yeah,
And, you so beautifully shared with us on the Maker's stage about sort of the role of faith in your life and the loss of your husband. Anyway,
yeah.
how are you really
All
doing?
of that.
All that. I mean, whatever.
Oh man, first of all, I'm so glad that you asked me to participate and to have the conversation because honestly, that's the only thing that's getting me through any of this. Our conversations.
Yeah.
It's like I feel like we have probably for too long not said all of the things that we should say, that we want to say, that we honestly should say, even
Yeah.
when it's painful and uncomfortable.
I know.
And so, I think it's first like, COVID and being sort of jolted out of your everyday life and the hustle and bustle of it and the pattern of it has, you know, made the conditions that we usually are running around with that much more honest,
Yeah. Yeah.
because we're taking a look at what's really important. We're trying to figure out how to survive. You start thinking about those who are most important in your life, and if they are healthy and well, all of those things. You start to take stock of it, and I think also just the need then for connection.
Mm,
Like the one-on-one connection, the FaceTimes that, all of a sudden you're doing and you didn't do before, or the Zooms or the
I know.
lives. I had never done a live before freaking COVID. I really hadn't.
And now
Now
I
here
can
I
only
am.
imagine. You're like, how
Right?
many lives do I have today?
Right, exactly. Yeah. So I'm having the constant conversations. And then it's, the conversations that have, of course, erupted around racial injustices and
Yeah.
equality. And I have to be honest on that too, that I'm really pissed at people who say things like, I'm so surprised. Or like, I can't believe this is still going on. I'm like, where the fuck have you been? Like, where have you been? Are you serious?
I don't even mean to laugh.
And
Yeah.
so it's like,
Maddening.
having the honest and uncomfortable conversations around this now has been really, really, really difficult. And then like you said, I'm dealing with my own emotional state, when it comes to, yes, being a single mom.
Oh, I just
I'm
want.
getting phone calls in between, so I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. It was just a little glitch.
I'm like, it's what happens.
No, but it is. I mean,
um
you're being asked a lot, Bozoma. You really are. I mean, I'm curious, again, just because I care about you and everything you're going through. And, these screens go off and there are lots of them. And I agree, this connection is really, I mean, I already am getting a lot just by being with you right now. But your daughter, right?
yeah.
She gets to see the real Bozoma. You
Yes.
know, and I wonder what that connection is like right now, what sort of conversations you're having with her, how you're leaning on her, how she's leaning on you.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm telling you, this has been, oh God, this has been
Yeah.
so heavy, you know, because of course, I think as any parent, you want to exemplify the kind of life you hope that your child then learns from, maybe doesn't necessarily repeat, but at least like they can learn from how you are and what you do. And this has been one of the biggest tests. I mean, as you know, throughout my career, I have always pushed, you know, it's like for my own advocacy, because I haven't had many advocates. And I do that in hopes that she sees the work and she sees how I stand up for myself and she sees when I cry about frustrating situations and all of that. So I'm very honest in how I manage to do what I do. There's no way that she's going to grow up and maybe in some future state say, oh, it was a breeze for my mom. She'll never say that because she
Right.
saw it. She had front row seat to what this is actually
Right.
like.
So you're not trying to like create a wall there. You're just, the wall is broken
Nope.
down and I'm going to
The
be
wall,
sad. I'm going to be whatever other emotions I'm sharing
yeah,
with you, which is so powerful.
yeah, yeah. The whole wall has been down since the night my husband passed away.
Yeah.
You know, from the moment I said, "Oh, I see," like this, she's gonna have to be a partner in my life. You know, not just someone I manage. And now in this situation that we're in, I mean, she has even more of a front row seat, right? I mean, we live in the same house, obviously, so she hears the conversations. She hears, and this is the real secret, she hears the conversation I have when I'm on the VC or whatever, whoever I'm talking to, and she hears my either praise or rant about what just happened right after, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes those are really intense because I have had to then deal, even now with like some of this BS that we're facing, I've had to confront these situations head on, even while having this conversation.
Crazy.
And so she hears that and she absorbs it. And then, you know, she's upstairs right now. I just told her, I'm like, I'm gonna go, you know, have a live with Miss Dillon. she's like, okay, I might come down. I was like, okay, you know, but so she's in and around. And so she hears what's going on. She hears my perspective. She has seen me when, and I know we're going to talk about this, but like on Black Friday, or I'm sorry, Blackout Tuesday, when I was in my pajamas, hadn't bathed, feeling helpless and like despondent and just defeated, you know, and sitting there and her coming over and be like, do you need a hug? And I'm like, no, I need a protest. Like, I don't, but thank you for the hug. I'll take the hug too, you know? But my point is that she sees all of the things. She sees all the emotion. And yes, on Father's Day, because we have been through this now for 7 Father's Days.
Yeah.
And she knows, you know, and I tried to be as open and let her have her open feelings as well. So what I'm trying to show her is that she can be open with me about her emotion because I'm open with her.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not always excited and happy and feeling like, yes, let's go get the world. You know, some days I feel like the world is going to get me and I need to stay in the house and just hide under my sheets.
And that is just as important for her to see as it is to see you fighting and being strong, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
and that it is sort of in many ways having this quality time with our children. They do get to see the full picture in all its grace and glory and, you know, not so beautiful moments too, right?
I know. Yeah. But it's been really interesting also to hear her express her own feelings to her own friends when I'm not around.
Interesting.
Which has been fascinating. You know, the other day, she was on her Zoom with her classmates and the teacher, you know, brought up the protests because obviously we live in LA and some of the protests were nearby. And so the teacher brings up the protest, and, you know, she was trying to be as PC as possible, you know, trying to say, you know, like, this is happening because of this, and, you know, like, just trying to be careful because they're in 5th grade, and I'm sure some of the parents have not expressed fully what's going on. But Lael knows exactly what's going on.
So what'd she say?
Man, listen, I was just, the funny thing is I was off a call, and so I was like, my office sits right next to the kitchen, and she was in the kitchen at the table doing her class, and so I overheard her. So I just stopped everything I was doing, and, you know, my ear hustle game came on, and I was like, exactly, like, let's hear what she's saying. And she actually interrupted the teacher, which obviously, you know, I was like, okay, we're gonna work on that, but that's okay. You know, she interrupted the teacher, but I understood because she was upset.
Yeah.
You know, and she was like, you know, we have to say what this is. She's like, we have to talk about it in real words.
Are you serious?
Yeah. And she was like, the protests are happening because Black people aren't treated well here, and we have to fix it, and we should all be angry about it. And I was like, yep, she's not lying. Yeah. She's not wrong. She's not wrong. And then I heard some of her other little friends. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but they, you know, they started piping in. And then she's like, yeah. And then did you know George Floyd got killed, and Breonna Taylor got killed, and Ahmaud Arbery? You know, my mom goes running in the morning, and it's scary. And I was like, oh, okay.
There we go.
But it became like she took it on as her own. You know, she was using words that were right for her. She wasn't parroting what I was saying, but she has been in the conversations. And so for me, I'm very proud of her. I am scared for her because I feel like I've been taking these hits so that she doesn't have to. That has been my whole motivation. And so I'd be lying to you if I didn't say that hearing her said that deflated me just a little bit also.
Interesting.
You know, that at the same time that I was proud that she was voicing her own opinion, I was like, damn, like, does she have to do this?
Like, it's so unfair. Like, I would be taking these hits.
Are you serious? And do her kids have to do this? And will her kids after that have to do this?
Like,
but
how
what's
long
the point then? Like, how long? You know, James Baldwin said it, right? He was like, how much time for your progress? Like, how much time? What's it gonna take? So I'm feeling very complicated.
Yeah, it's mixed emotions. No, it really is. It is.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel mixed emotions. I actually, you know, it's interesting because I was having a conversation this morning with a colleague on the team about, you know, obviously, and you have every place that I see you, Bozoma, you are just out there saying, you know, no, this is about systemic change now, right? I mean, and it's so vital to understand that. So I'm curious your take on this. So let's take Reed Hastings, right?
Yeah.
And his wife, they make this huge millions and millions to historically Black colleges. And that is extraordinary.
Yeah.
But for me, I start going, does that become a check the box moment? And I get worried. And Janae said to me, you know, she said, you know, yes, but it's a step in the right direction. As a woman who has, you know, benefited from historically Black colleges, like, that's really important. And so I said, okay. But I guess my question to you is, are there things that you're hearing from these corporations that make you go, okay. And what are the things that make you say, yeah, now we're talking?
Yeah. Well, okay, so this is a complicated answer too. Because as I said, I've been a Black woman for 43 years.
Yes.
I've been a Black woman in corporate America for 23 of those 43. And this has never been a problem that has been secret.
Yeah.
You know, that we have been talking about diversity and inclusion, like, those words have been in the forefront of our corporate lingo for at least 15. There are white papers, you can now Google them, they're free, that tell us about why businesses benefit from having diverse and inclusive environments that reflect their audiences and the makeup of the communities that we serve. None of those things have made a difference.
Nope.
Not past killings or beatings. Think about it. Rodney King, 30 years ago.
30 years.
30 years ago. 30 years ago.
Unreal.
The difference today, I believe, is that, first of all, yes, we're in a pandemic. March of this year, right, was the first March since 2002 that there wasn't a school shooting. Remarkable, right? Remarkable. Like, we're like, oh my God, okay. No school shootings, like, because we're all at home. There's no school. There's no school to shoot up. Fantastic. Good. Every kid is safe. But somehow, in the pandemic, violence against Black people has risen. Breonna Taylor was killed in her home, in her bed, and she was an essential worker. How does that happen? How? So there is a visceral reaction because it's like, we've been saying this. We've been talking about this. And even in the midst of a pandemic, not only is it disproportionately affecting Black and brown people because of systemic racism and they don't have access to good health care, but also because we're at home. So why are we getting killed still? Why? Why is it rising? Doesn't make any sense. So business communities are now like, oh my God, this, okay, now this is a problem. Okay. Everybody's upset. They're at home. Let's just, let me figure out how to say something, because otherwise they're gonna come get me next. So the complicated answer is, and by the way, I've had lots of conversations with business leaders. I mean,
I know you have.
All the top Fortune 50, everybody. And the thing I say, because their biggest fear is not necessarily backlash for not saying anything. Their biggest fear is backlash for saying something.
For saying the wrong thing.
Yes. Because their fear is like, oh, well, I'm not going to say it appropriately. I'm going to give $500 million. And somebody say, why not give $1 billion? You know, so that's the fear. The fear of action is actually the problem.
Yep.
So all I say to them constantly, and I say it here, which is that do it anyway.
Yes.
Do it anyway. If somebody says that you did it because of pressures of society, do it anyway, because you know what, it's true. So do it.
Right.
And if somebody says, oh, you know what, you only gave 500 million, you should have given $1 billion, give the 500 anyway. It was more than you did last year. Do it anyway. And you know what? And if you feel pressured to give $1 billion, then give the $1 billion. But do it. Look, I don't understand why you're having this conversation. And you know what? If you make a statement and you make a wrong statement, I don't care. You deserved it. You deserve the backlash. You know why? Because you need to learn. And the only way you're going to learn is you push yourself into that uncomfortable space. So no more safety. There's no more safety.
I just learned, here I am. I'm saying, like, again, I think it's so vital to, to say, here's another example. A woman on our Makers board, she said she's the head of diversity and inclusion at a big company. And she said, I realize that I have been spending all my time reviewing memos that I was never brought into before to make sure that they're okay. Right? And it's like, and so I'm focusing all my time on the white leadership of this company, quite honestly. And I'm not paying attention to the Black leaders in this company who need me right now. So her feedback was, and I really took it to heart, was, you know what? Like, we as white people of privilege have got to just kind of do it on our own.
Yes, figure it out.
Take the backlash. I'll listen to you, Boz, and I'll say, like, yeah, God, I was looking at Reed Hastings saying, like, that's not enough. But I'm glad he did it. He just, because you've got to do it. It's so important. What a message.
You have to do it. You have to do it. And you have to figure it out. That's the other challenge. You're right. I mean, that board member is absolutely right. I think it's the pressure on Black people right now, especially in corporate spaces, is so insane. I'm like, if you didn't understand about systemic racism before, let me break it down one more time. I'm like, this is what happens, okay? I'm like, so I just make it super personal, me, okay? So you're then a victim of systemic racism constantly, whether it's promotions or lack thereof, financial, that lack thereof, all of the things, okay? You're the victim in this situation. Then something like this happens and everybody turns their attention to you. Now all of a sudden you're the popular kid. Now all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait, hold on. We want to hear what you have to say. And then you say what it is, but it takes you so much courage. You can't sleep. You can barely eat because whatever you're going to say is going to impact what the world hears about where you are. And they're going to look at you because you're there. Right. And you must agree with the statement if they made it, right?
Right.
So then you work up the courage, you're sleepless, you write it, you send it out, you respond to this call that you as now the Black prophet.
Right.
Have, you've now been called upon and you give this statement. And then somebody says, I don't know. I think we should change this little piece. Oh, I think that's too strong. I think we should change this little piece. Oh, you know what? I think this sentence belongs over here instead. You know what? This one I could replace with this instead. And then now your voice is unheard again.
It's unbelievable.
Like,
even now, you're like, wait a second.
Even now. And then guess what? The statement goes out and it's not enough. And then there's backlash. And then guess what happens to you inside? Not only are your friends outside who are like, what happened? You work there. What? You let them do that? Meanwhile, you're like, what? I didn't have the power. What are you talking about? Oh, and then guess what? The people who work for you or who you work for say, how did you see what happened to us when we took your advice? And now you were the bad guy.
Oh my God. Bozoma! It's so fucked up.
That's thank you. Yes, it is. It is. So that's what happens. It's such a crazy time to think about the fact that you and everybody else want to fix the problem of systemic racism, but we're actually using the system of racism to continue to perpetuate the problem.
I mean, it just keeps repeating itself over and over, even when the world says that they're open.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like
I know. It's like where do you go?
The mic right there. But wait.
It's like where you go from there?
Mic. Wait. Let's share the mic. Let's share the mic now.
Yes.
Okay.
But this is it. This is exactly it. This is the conversation.
This is the real conversation.
And this is why Share the Mic came to be.
Yes.
Because I was, as I said, in that despondent, desperate place where it just felt like, you know what? Why should I even bother talking about this anymore? I've said it on friggin', stages. I've said it in articles. I've said it in boardrooms. I've said it. I'm hoarse. I'm tired.
Yes. You deserve to be.
The darling and wonderful Glennon Doyle wrote me a DM and she was like, friend, I see you talking. Are you okay? And I responded, I was like, no, I'm not. And she was like, what's going on? I was like, people ain't listening. They're not listening to me. They don't hear what I say. She was like, would you like to say it on my Instagram? And I was like, no, I don't. Get out of here.
Like, I love you, but no, I'm tired.
No. I don't want to do anymore. I'm fine. And then Lovey called me and she said, get your ass up. Like, this is not you. Like, get up. We're gonna do something about this. And she was like, Glennon wrote me too. And said, if I wanted to use her platform. I was like, good, you go do it. And then it was like the universe was conspiring against me, I feel like. Because then Stacey Benden Eisner, who's CEO of Alice and Olivia, she wrote me an email. And she was like, she and actually Kourtney Kardashian wrote me an email. And she said, Boz, you're doing so much out there. I don't want to ask you what I should do. She's like, because I saw your Instagram and you said non-Black people shouldn't ask you what to do anymore. I was like, point one, okay, good job, white friend ally, good job. And she said, she was like, would you like to say whatever you want to say on my platform because maybe they haven't seen you before? And then I was just like, okay, Lord, I hear you. Send no more messengers. No more messengers. I got it. I got it. I got it. So I called Ovi back and I was like, all right, fine. What are we going to do? And that's how we developed it. Because then we said, you know what? Like, it's not my thought only that matters, right? Black women in general aren't heard. It doesn't matter how successful you are. You know, think about, like, I always give an example. I'm like, think about Michelle Obama, okay? It's like, this woman is a super well-educated woman, extraordinarily successful in corporate spaces, the wife of a former president. But while she was in the White House, how often did we hear her? How often did we hear her?
Interesting.
We didn't.
We didn't.
We didn't. Like, one of the most brilliant Black female minds. We didn't hear her.
Bozoma.
Like,
that's fucked up.
Even her. So Lovey and I were like, okay, let's write down a list of our friends, right? White people with really large platforms who have been asking, what can they do more? Like, you know, but they had to have already shown that they are moving in a certain direction. There's not people who are just still posting about their puppies. It's like, you know, you needed to have said something about this right here, okay? You demonstrate caring. We wrote a list of our Black girlfriends. And then we decided, okay, on Breonna Taylor's birthday, we were going to launch and say the following week, we're going to come out and we're going to put the Black women on the white women's platforms. Because yes, in the world, even though women aren't listened to often, when the world does listen to women, listens to white women. That is truth and that is fact. So we're like, okay, white women, we're going to take over your accounts. And it required trust, right, on both ends. First of all, it required, of course, the trust of Black women to go into an unknown space. Because on social media, as we all know, it is the most curated of spaces, right? Because I try to explain this all the time. People are like, oh, no, I have diverse, you know, like feed. I see everything. I'm like, no, you don't. That's a lie, okay? Yeah. I challenge you on that. Because mine is curated, okay? We pick who we want to see. Usually it's people who we agree with, people who inspire us or make us laugh or, you know, like give us tips that we like. It's nobody that you don't like. It's nobody who has a different opinion from you. It's nobody who doesn't have the same religion as you. Like it's right. It's like you can, like we pick where we want to work, but we don't actually pick our coworkers, right? We don't pick our families. We're kind of obligated to them. Most people find themselves obligated to their families. Some people have already dumped them, but that's fine, you know? But we don't choose them. But you choose your social media feed. You really do. And so the thought of me going into somebody else's space, it's more intimate even than going to somebody's house, you know? Because they've curated this space and the people who are following them like them.
Yes.
They don't like you.
Yeah.
They didn't follow you.
Right.
So now you have to trust that I'm going to go into this space. And by the way, you as the white person need to protect me while I'm in your house. So that meant that they need to be in the comments. I'm talking about delete and block, delete and block, delete and block. Like if anybody was saying anything crazy. On top of that, the white women needed to trust the Black women by handing over passwords. And while I think that that sounds easy, think about that, right? It's like, I'm just going to go ahead and give you my password because this was not going to be enough to be like, oh, I'm going to send you a video and then you're going to post it. No, I need to be in in your
In your
platform.
actual, right.
In your platform.
God,
And so, yeah, so Courtney did. 93 million of her followers saw me that day.
and
Right?
so, yes, and what was the
And
reaction?
yes, it was crazy. Dylan, you already know, I've done a million marketing programs, okay? I've done so many campaigns, the big ones, the little ones, I've done them all. And I was hopeful about this action because I just felt like it could do something for my heart.
Yeah.
You know, and do something for the 48 other Black women that I knew and the 50 white women that I knew. And I felt like at least our lives could change based on the interaction because it was going to be a forced conversation. And it was surprising to me because, again, I've worked with a lot of talent over the years, lots of celebs. And it doesn't matter what the program is. The first question is usually like, who else has signed up?
Right.
And what do I have to do? And we didn't get one of those questions. Literally not one of those.
Not one.
Not one. Hillary Clinton didn't ask that question. Senator Warren didn't ask that question. Julia Roberts didn't ask that question. Hillary Swank didn't ask that question. Nobody. And the Black women who we were saying, we are going to ask you to walk into fire, okay? Because we don't know what's going on over there.
Right.
We don't know, okay? Like, you're gonna walk over there. Also, not one of them said, I don't know, like, I'm not sure. I don't really like her. Nobody said that. If they felt any particular way about their partner, they were like, all right, well, I guess it's time. We're gonna go over here and make some noise. And they did the work. They did the work. And the reaction was, it was like, poof, everywhere. People were talking about it.
Brilliant.
And wanted to participate and asking how they could do it. And I think as of this morning, we're at about 25 billion impressions.
Oh my God.
Which, I mean, right, for context, right, we have 7 billion people on the planet. So if we touched every single person, it would have already gone around the world 4 times. Like, that's...
Buzz, I'm leaping with joy.
But it also, you know what really warms my heart is that after we did it, there were definitely a lot of people who contacted us individually who said, how do I do it? But I am more touched by the people who just went ahead. You know, the ones who have created their own versions now. Yesterday I saw one that was like, share the mic MD, like for doctors.
Oh, that's cool. That's amazing. We did it on Makers Bows. Janae Hawkins, head of partnerships, I guess she took over my personal one, and it was joy. And also, it was people were donating. I mean, I feel like Janae brought up causes that meant something to her, and then people were able to it was brilliant. So
thank you.
So what's next? Like, are you gonna, like, come on, this is, you gotta keep this going. No pressure. It's not like you're doing enough.
I know.
You're not busy or anything.
Well, there's definitely been a big clamor for us to do it. And you know, it's funny, we're actually, the 4 of us are talking actually later today about when and how we're going to do it again. Because I won't pretend it wasn't a lot of work. You know, it was a lot of work. But the impression I have, and this is what we're going to work on, right? Because you get sort of the 2 ends where, you know, and this is where my marketer's brain goes on, because I want people to do it themselves without us. Yeah. Because that's the whole point. It's like, no, we want you to share your mic, like, do it. You know, that's the whole point. Yeah. But people are asking, like, oh, I want to be involved. How do I get involved? And so perhaps we need a few more rounds of an organized effort to encourage people that you can do it. So we're considering doing an open source version where we provide the assets and we say, here they are. Pick a partner, do-si-do. Let's get to it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And we may encourage the original 100 who did it with us to do it again. you know, but we're thinking through what that's going to look like. But I think in this second iteration, we need to further impart that this is an action that we want people to take themselves, you know, that don't wait for us to say go.
I love
You can do it any day of the week. You can do it at any moment, you know, and the way I put peer pressure and guilt on people, especially white people, is I say, well, you know, listen, every time something happens, people are like, oh, I have a black friend. I'm not racist. Like, there's no way. I'm fine. I got a black friend. Well, you know what? Call your black friend and have them share the mic with you then. Is that not? I was just like, if you got one, then do it.
And every day share the mic now, right? Okay.
Go ahead.
Challenge Maker's audience. You hear it now. Tomorrow, the next day, next week. Pick a day.
Do it.
I think there's a constant theme with you, Bozoma. Like, just do it. Just do it.
Yes.
Right? I mean, I know that there's Nike and everything like that, but I'm attributing it to you.
Thank you. Yes, because I feel it in my spirit. You know, and you and I have had this conversation many a time about my need for urgency. Yeah. You know, and that was born out of trauma, but it is something that has helped me throughout. Like it has helped me in my career. It's helped me in my personal life. It has been the biggest gift, because this desire for urgency means that I am action oriented. I'm not waiting for anything. I'm not waiting for anyone. It's like I'm gonna do it. Like, and if you want to come, fantastic. If you don't, get out of my way. Like, I'm going. You know, get out of here.
Thank God. You know? Thank God you're like that. I
Amen.
Feel like the world needs a little more of that in us. You know, and speaking of that, I just want you to know that, you know, I'm not going to ask you this question, which everyone wants to know, like, how can we be better white allies? I'm not going to ask you that. Here's what I'm going to tell you about what I'm doing.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Come on, share. Yes.
So we had a guy named Willie Jackson spoke at Makers this year, and he talked about the difference between being an ally and being an accomplice. And you've talked about this too, right?
Yeah.
So an ally, you know, I'm sending you a text, Boz. I'm saying, like, hope you're doing okay. Like, that's nice, right? I'm checking in on my friend.
Yeah.
But the accomplice is, I'm saying, you know what? Here's what I can control. All the Maker shoots, you know what? At first, they were mostly men. Who were on the DPs, the grips, the gaffers. We changed that to almost 100% women, right? I had the power to do that. Well, now, guess what? I have the power to make sure that there are Black producers and directors.
Yes.
Right? So I can do that. Yes. I can make a commitment. I can say that on the Makers conference stage, 50% people of color. I can say that
you can do that,
right? So that's an accomplice.
Yes, an accomplice. I love that so much better because it's action. It's action.
So that's what it's like, a Boz word.
Yes, accomplice in this. I like it. I really like that. But you know, that's a really powerful thing, Dylan. I want to pause there for a second because, again, you know, I think people are rightly so concerned about the world, and we keep talking about systemic racism, right? And it feels so big and so large, and they're like, how do I save the world, you know? But the truth of the matter is that we are more powerful in our immediate circles, right? So it's like, if you're able to affect what is around you, then that micro positivity that you're creating, that micro change becomes the macro change.
Right.
And so even saying something like, you know what, like, I could be more active in my production is a big change. It changes the makeup of what people see, the narratives that you tell, that you help to bring to the world. It changes that overnight.
Completely.
And that is a powerful thing. And imagine if more people who controlled stages said that.
Right. There are a lot of stages.
Because sure, of course, I'm sure you're concerned about voter suppression. We're all concerned about voter suppression. But you know what? It's like, you also got this space around you. So you know what? I want you to do some stuff on voter suppression. But you know, if you can affect the thing that's happening within your reach immediately, do that.
Right. What can we do?
So I'm very, very, very proud of you for that. Keep going. Do it.
Well, I'm proud of you. I think, again, we didn't even get to in our time, but I just want to throw it out there so that everyone on Makers knows that there's also, you're doing a podcast with Katie Couric, which is
I am.
amazing.
Yes.
Back to Biz or Back to Boz.
Back to Biz.
Back to Bozoma. And you're launching a new workshop, Badass Workshop, right?
Yes.
Give me a little tidbit of what that's going to be, because
Okay.
I think everyone needs to do that.
Ooh, okay. So, man, I don't even know where to start with that. It has been on my heart for some time. I've been asked to do it for a long time, and I just couldn't find the time. Yeah. Not because I didn't want to do it, but because I didn't prioritize it. And I think this very moment in time showed me how much more powerful it is when we have all of the voices together, and all of the voices sort of saying their thing, being their best, being their greatest. And so I wanted to create a space to impart the knowledge I have. I think that is part of the challenge that we face, especially as women of color, but maybe just as women in general, and then anyone who has ever felt othered, right? That we can all be in this space together because we don't share enough of the information, the how-to. Yeah. Like even the things like, I find it very interesting that we don't think about our challenges in a circular way, like a holistic 360 way. And I always say, bring your whole self, right? That's the line I use. But even when we are talking about, let's just take, for instance, like you want to have a conversation with your boss about your promotion or what you want to get next in your job. Yeah. And we don't know the words to use exactly, how to frame up the conversation, what are the pieces, because what happens is that we are so self-doubting and we have been told that we're not enough. And that has seeped in, even for me, right? It has seeped in. All the messages I get from the outside tell me that I'm not enough. And therefore I don't ask for what it is that I actually should get. Right. And so how do you actually frame that up? So almost like a workshop on understanding how to frame that up, but that's not the only thing, because it's like, you can get that, but guess what then you need? You need a little bit of meditation, darling. Yes, you do. You need to get your center right, because
and they never
you can't
think that's brilliant. That never comes together.
Right? It doesn't come together, because guess what? You can't say the words if your voice is like, if your hands are shaking, if you can't look them in the eye and say it with confidence. But that also requires some centeredness. Yes. And so no, I have never gone into a conversation with a boss without meditation can be in any form. I pray. Yeah. Okay. Hell, before I had an office, I'd go to the bathroom because, you don't want to be sitting at a cube, closing your eyes and humming away at yourself because people think you're crazy. You know what I mean? But you need that moment. You need a second to just get your mind together, set your intention, talk yourself up. Yes. Girl, you the baddest. You're going to go in there. You're going to tell him exactly what you want. It doesn't matter what he says. You're going to come out of there with something. One of these three things you're going to come out there with. If you get all three, fantastic. If you get two, I'm proud of you. If you get one, good job. Like, so it's like that.
I just need a Bose app, really. That would be my meditation. Yeah, right. You got this. All right. Here I come.
Right? Yes. So you need that centeredness. Oh, and then guess what? Those things also work, but like, how are you looking? How are you feeling? Now, listen, I love a good lip color. I love a face beat. I'd like to get myself all, because it makes me feel powerful. But we're not thinking about that when we're about to come into these conversations. What is it that what is going to make you feel most powerful from the outside? Right. I'm not saying you need a power suit. I'm not saying you need lipstick. I'm not even saying you need to get your hair done. But whatever your thing is, like, what is your armor? Right. Like, what for me, knowing I'm not going to have pit stains. I mean, listen, and maybe you do sweat a lot. But by the way, maybe you sweat a lot, so you need to think about what jacket you're going to put on so it can hide those sweat stains. You know what I mean? Like, we've got to put all of those into action.
Totally.
And so for me, I'm thinking, okay, I need a workshop where I can talk about the things I've learned. I can give tips about how to do it. I can encourage on ways to get across all these different, versions and like verticals. Because to me, it's like, okay, we're going to talk about negotiation of salaries.
Yes.
We're going to talk about promotions. We're going to talk about healthy relationships.
Yes.
Because guess what? You can't do your best work if you've been fighting with your partner at home, or if you're in a toxic ass relationship. You can't do it. You know, we're going to talk about parenthood. We're going to talk about health and wellness because, listen, we gotta be healthy, people. You know, it's like all of the things. So that's what I'm going to do.
Which honestly, you and I have been and know a lot of these programs and a lot that's out there, and there is nothing that connects the dots like this. I'm so excited you're doing it.
Amen.
How, just so the audience knows, like, how can anyone join? Is it
yes?
Is it?
Yes, anyone can join. I'm talking to individuals, and so right now I'm just gathering the people who are most interested.
Okay.
And then there will be an email that will be sent talking about when we're going to embark on this journey together to work on ourselves. Great. Because it's thebadassworkshop.com. So come on, join.
Okay.
Join
Badass
the journey.
Workshop. Sign me up. You are amazing. I mean, anyone who does that is so lucky. I don't know how you're going to have the time for it, but I'm going to let you figure that one out.
Yes. Yes.
And know that you have a friend when you're feeling down. Call me anytime.
Thank you. I appreciate you so much, Dylan.
I love you.
Mwah. Bye-bye. Bye.